You're listening to the Real Estate Runway podcast, powered by Quattro Capital, where we are all about alternative business and investment strategies to help you amplify life and maximize wealth. Here's your host, the recovering engineer turned multifamily investor, Chad Sutton.
All right, folks, this is your captain speaking. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about networking at an event with my partner, Dr. Erin Hudson, and myself. We love working the room when we go places. You can do it too with these few tips and tricks, some technology hacks, and some relational hacks to help you make the most out of meeting people and just being awesome at these events. Okay, but before we do, if you get any value out of this show, please leave us that 5-star review and thoughtful comment. Share the show, like us and subscribe on YouTube. Wherever you are, pay it forward. It's the only way someone else can find this show and get the same amount of value that you are, okay? If you want to send us a topic, we'd love to hear from you. podcast@thequattroway.com. And if you want to apply to be on the show, thequattroway.com/podcast. I'd love to host you on the show and talk about your life experience and what you're doing to build generational wealth in the world of real estate. So without further ado, let's hop right into the episode. Here is Erin and myself. Rock on. All right. Real Estate Runway family, welcome to another episode of the Real Estate Runway podcast, Quattro Roundtable Edition. I'm joined today with the beautiful, the amazing, the energetic Dr. Erin Hudson. Good to have you back on. How are you doing?
Oh, good. You're going to make me blush. Thanks for all the compliments. That's super nice of you, partner.
Absolutely. Always just trying to keep up. So listen, one thing Erin and I are pretty good at, we think so anyway, is working the room at a conference, like a conference or a gathering. When you're in a room with all sorts of people, and maybe you're the smallest fish in the room, or maybe you're the biggest. I don't know. It's easy to work the room when you're the biggest, but when you're coming into a room, you don't know all the people there. Maybe you have some reputation. We're going to talk today about just how to work the room. How do you position yourself as an authority? How do you identify that if you're in a room of 50 people, you can't build a meaningful relationship with all 50. You got to pick out the top 5 maybe. And okay, if I walk away with 5 meaningful connections who we can actually help each other, then it's a success. So how do you find those people? How do you work the room? Stuff like that, right? So Erin, let's get right into it. And well, remind me before we're done, is I also have some nerdy techniques of how to exchange contact information with a snap that doesn't require a tech moment and a business card exchange and all that kind of stuff. But when you go to a conference or a gathering or whatever, let's talk first about how do you prepare for it? Like, how do you do any sort of research, or do you how do you get in your mind, like, what am I going to accomplish at this place to start out?
Yeah. So 2 things. First and foremost, Chad just told you, if you stick to the end, he's going to give you the goods so that you can get a little more techie and with ease share your contact information. So you better stay tuned because it's good and we don't want you leaving too soon. I would say when I go to a conference, I am not one that gets on the Whova app and does all this research about who's all going to be there, because I'm the one that just likes to let things flow and go the way they're supposed to work out. But I will share with you a couple things that I naturally just embody. Like, I'm a pretty happy person. I've got a pretty good amount of spunk. I'm pretty bold. I like to come and bring me energy. So I think first and foremost, if you'll go to a conference or you're in a place in space, one of the most important things that you can do is to actually smile. Because if you look around a room and you walk in there, I think you would be shocked when you're cognizant of who is really smiling and who is just standing there and is not looking so approachable. You always, number one, want to be approachable. So you want to keep that smile on your face. But at the same time, when you're walking in the room, I always think to myself, I want to raise the vibration of this room. And how can I best raise the vibration? It's by bringing the smile, right? A smile just says a million things. It makes you approachable. It tells others that you're confident, that you're fun, that you have good energy and aura about you. And who doesn't want that? Would you not agree, Chad? The smile is like so uber important.
I couldn't agree more. And I think it's BYOE. I'm stealing this from a workout instructor on Peloton. Bring your own energy, right? You can't go into a room. Like, I'm going to give you, if you're watching me on YouTube, look at this. If not, I'm going to describe what I'm doing. But Erin, who would you rather talk with? This person right here or this person right here who's got, so what I did there was I slumped my shoulders forward and I put a little bit of a just neutral face on. I wasn't frowning. I just wasn't happy. And this kind of says, okay, I'm timid to be here. Maybe I'm not so approachable and I might bite you if you get too close. But if you throw your shoulders back, poke that chest up at least a degree or two, and just put a smile on, you'd be surprised how many people are actually going to be like, oh, wow, I could probably approach that person. Because when you're in a room, you're trying to decide, hey, who do I need to approach and who's even approachable? Because the last thing you want to do is walk up and just get like bit by somebody who you try to go talk to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And here's the other thing I like to, and think about it this way. If somebody had a smile on their face and they had no teeth, I still would want to talk to them because of the smile that they are exuding and the great energy versus somebody that's timid and the way that Chad just described. The other thing that you can really do that's super important is a lot of times when we go to these conferences, we tend to get in a little circle. Almost imagine it's a little bit cliquey. Be the person that opens the circle up and steps back a little bit so that you are inviting for somebody else to come in and be a part of your circle. That's inclusive and it makes people feel wanted, important, and special. And who does not want to feel important, wanted, and special, right? We're dropping some tips here. I hope you're taking notes.
Yeah, I was actually going to put that. I use that trick too. And there's nothing worse than just think about the rugby game, right? When you have a big circle of people and you're trying to get someone to pounce in there and get the ball, it's hard. You got to fight your way in. And so what she's saying there is, look, I take it a step further a lot of times. Like if I'm having a conversation, I usually step a little bit 45-degree angle back, just 1 foot out of the circle. And I just every now and then peer around and see who's walking by. And sometimes somebody will get close and they'll look at you and maybe meet your smile with a smile. And they might look at your group and you can tell pretty quickly, okay, are they just walking by or do they maybe want to join your circle? Invite them in. Say, hey, yeah, by the way, like sometimes I'll respond to the person I'm talking to and also look at the new person coming by. Say, hey, why don't you join us? And you never know who you just brought in. It could be one of these people you really want to talk to in the room, but you just positioned yourself as welcome, opening, and caring about that person's well-being in the room. So I think that's 100%. A fantastic one. Yeah.
I love it. Okay, ready for the next one?
Let's do it.
He who asks the most powerful questions wins. If you take note, you'll go to some conferences and notice that there's sometimes people that just want to be braggadocious and want to talk about all their accolades and things that they've done and how they're the number one, right? Who wants to be around that? That's pompous and braggadocious. And it clearly, to me, it leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. You know why? Because it says I'm insecure. And I need you to know that I'm somebody that's a big deal. So instead, what if you came to the circle or the conversation and you got to introduce yourself and perhaps you said, hey, what is it we're here at the multifamily event. Maybe you know the person very lightly. And what if you came to the conversation of, hey, what are you working on right now? Or what is it that you're hoping to get from this conference tonight? Do you see how if you just open up the conversation, people want to know that you care. And so don't make it about you, make it about the other people. Ask inquisitive questions to help you to learn what it is that's important to them or that they're working on. And then one other question is, what is it? Is there anything in particular that maybe I could help connect you with that would help you move your needle forward? Why? Because all those things tell you that you're not a person that's all about me. It's really, how can I help you? What do you think on that, Chad?
Yeah. And Erin, we talk about this all the time. Every person has this little antenna that comes out of their head and it only picks up one station. And it's called WIFM. It's what's in it for me. So if you come up to someone and you're just talking about yourself, that's great if they asked you about yourself. But if it's better just to help them realize, how can this person help me? That's what they're thinking. You have literally 5 seconds. Now, I think it's 5 seconds to make an impression of, okay, I'm either going to tune this guy out and try to get out of this conversation, or I'm going to try to lean in and learn more about this person. And if you can figure out how to ask one of those questions where that gets them talking and they're like, okay, let me share what I care about him knowing about or her knowing about. And that's how they can get themselves to, how can this person help me? Another question, notice the form of question Erin was asking, right? It's what questions, it's how questions, it's who questions. Those are open-ended. They cannot be answered with a yes or a no, right? And that's by design. Because if you ask an open-ended question, something with a what, a how, a who, try to avoid why, because sometimes why could be accusatory in the wrong situation. But how, what, and who, think what she just said. What are you hoping to get out of the conference tonight? Who might I be able to introduce you to in this room if you're maybe someone who knows a lot of people in the room who can help you figure out what you need out of the room? Things like that. It gets them talking. It's not a one-word answer. And then guess what? If you're a decent conversationalist, you listen just a little bit. The most important power is listening. And what do you think you'll garner after getting them to talk for 20, 30, 40 seconds, right? You're probably going to have a lot of information to then ask a follow-on question or provide some value, and boom, you stick in their mind.
I love it. I love it. Listen, I'll tell you this much too. So let's just say that you're at this conference, and I'll give you one more tip actually about conference. Sometimes you'll walk in and there'll be a big group of people that maybe you're in the circle and the circle starts growing larger and larger. And I've been in circles where all of a sudden there's 10 people. I'll come in and I call myself the disruptor, but like a good disruptor. Like sometimes it'll be just like low energy. And so I'll just come to the circle and be like, hey, how's everyone doing? And everyone's good. And then I'm like, listen, I want to honor your time, but I'm dying to know what it is that you came to this conference for. Meaning, what is it? Depending on if it's multifamily or whatnot, I'll straight up say, hey, let's like do a little speed date. Everyone share your name and what is it that you're looking for? Are you looking for deals? Are you looking for money? Are you looking to sponsor a deal? And so everybody, like 60 seconds, everybody does a quick little intro and we all walk away feeling like we got a little bit of information on how perhaps we can help connect that person with what it is that they desire. I gave a couple examples, but depending on what kind of conference, and could you imagine if you were the connector and the value that you just brought to that circle or to that individual, now you become top of mind to them because you truly cared to go out on a limb to help them get what they were in need of. Does that make sense, guys? I hope you're hearing.
It makes you like a connector, just like she said, right? It's fantastic.
Well,
yeah.
that's a good one.
And so, sorry, do you have another tip, Erin?
I'm just going to give one more.
Yeah.
So let's say that you walk away from, and we're going to touch on how you can stand out and stay front of mind and memorable here shortly. But another really great tip, you do not have to meet everybody. As a matter of fact, if you go to a conference, please do not be that person that opens up your business cards and start handing them out to people that you have not even met. It's leaves a bad taste in your mouth when somebody's walking around and just passing all these business cards. Let's be honest. I've got a right pocket and a left pocket. If I had a great conversation with you and I feel, man, I would love to have another conversation round 2 with that person, I'll stick them in my right back pocket. If I'm like, oh, geez, it was that guy that just went and started passing out cards everywhere, he goes in the left pocket, right? You still want to be honorary, right? Anyhow, what I was going to share with you as a follow-up, just like Chad said, what if you go home with 5 pivotal people that you met at whatever conference you may be at? Imagine if you were to then go home, and they always say fortune is in the follow-up. Imagine if you went home and all of a sudden you created either an audio video or an actual visual video and you sent it over to them and it said something like this. Hey, listen, it was such an honor to meet you at AMBC conference. I loved hearing about you and how family oriented you are and that you're on a mission to change 10,000 women's lives. I could totally get behind that. Let's jump on a Zoom call. I'd love to talk shop. I'd love to learn how I can help you with your mission and what it is that you are wanting to do this year. All right, book a link, book below. Grab a spot on my calendar. Let's talk shop. Y'all see that? Imagine if somebody sent something like that to you. You're like, oh, I like the energy of that person. I love that she heard about and truly listened about what it is that makes me tick as a person. Oh my gosh, I want to get on another call with her. Like for sure, for sure. And you become front of mind. And somebody that is like-minded that perhaps the other might want to consider doing more things with. So that was a tip I had for you.
That WIFM signal just keeps getting stronger as you do that, folks. Yeah. And little tech tip here, right? So how does she do this? You know, and by the way, if you meet Erin at a conference and you see her put your card in your left pocket, you now know what that means. So.
Hey, we're packing up these days, so there's other ways.
Yes, exactly. So let's talk tech tip on what she just said there, because the act of follow-up is incredible. And so let's say you have those 5 business cards or those 5 leads, 5 contacts that you met. Wow, I need to reach out to this person. We can help each other, or I can help them, or this is a client, or whatever it is. Following up is one thing. The follow up with a text, follow up with an email, that's good, but everybody does that. She subtly mentioned there, follow up with a video or at least an audio. There's something, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, audio is worth 10 and video is worth 1,000,000, right? Because you can see body language, eye movement, lip movement, the little embouchures in your mouth, like I don't know how I knew the name of that muscle, by the way, but how excited they are to talk to you. And folks, like if you get a video sent to you, it could even just be recorded on your phone and texted to you. But if someone sends you a video talking to you, how personal is that? Right? It's fantastic. So text stack, you can use your iPhone or your Android to do this. Just text a video. For more efficient, because videos can be heavy to text or email, we use a program called Vidyard for this. It's vidyard.com. It's great it's like a Loom, but it's a little more geared towards marketing. So there's some benefits of that, but you can record the video there on your phone or your computer, send them a link with a nice little thumbnail of you waving at them. It's so cool to send someone a video with a thumbnail of you waving or holding a sign saying, "Hey, Chad, what's up?" Like you're going to click on that video, right? Yeah. So just a little bit of a tip there to mesh some marketing in with it. So Erin, let's go back on that. If you only meet 5 powerful people in the room, right? Well, so let's say that we're like you and me. I don't prepare for conferences as well. I just go and figure it out. But let's say you show up and you're met with let's just do a moderate number, 100 people in the room. Okay. And you're surveying the room. Everyone's off in circles talking and you're deciding, where am I going to start? So what are you looking for when you get to a room and start looking left to right? Like, where do you say, okay, I'm going to go focus my energy on that group and that group. What are you looking for to attract you in to start?
Yeah. So listen, I think we all have to remember that it is important that we all want to do something when we go to these events, we all want to meet people that we can take it to the next level with and do something and work in a greater way together. So one thing that's super important to me is I want to work with somebody where our goals, our visions, and our desires somewhat match, meaning we're all about impact of lives and want to work with good people. So first and foremost, I know it sounds probably bratty, but I'm looking for people that are just a little bit similar to me as far as their energy levels, because if the energy is low, it's draining. And I'm not looking to hang out with someone that drains my energy. I want somebody at the frequency level that's excited about life and is looking to find some benefit from being amongst great people. So I will look for the other person that's smiling. I'll look for somebody maybe that is around some people that I know are really, I don't want to call high profile, but they're actually making moves in our space. So I know that they're connected. I'll look to see who they're connecting with is really powerful when you're at one of these events. But here's the other thing that I like to do. When I'm at these events and I meet somebody and they're super of great caliber, meaning they checked all the boxes that I just talked about, that their abundance mindset. When you talk to someone, you can clearly hear in their conversation, whether they're just abundance minded or if they're negative or if they're like, man, the market's so shitty and there's no, I'm sitting on the sidelines, there's nothing we can do and we're just going to hold off for a while. Guess what? I'm not going to be hanging out with them because because all of the crap that's going on in the debt market and all the things. Remember back in the 1980s, interest rates were like 18% and people were still doing deals. So what do I mean by that? I want to hang out with abundance mindset people that are like, man, come hell or high water, we're still out there fishing. We know there's good stuff to be had. And so those type of people are the ones that I want to surround myself around. People that are doing bigger things. You have an idea and a stack of who some of the people are there. And if they're making big moves, as big as the multifamily market is, it's really small. So I want to go hang out with the players in the space that are making moves and pick their brain. But also, in addition, I do this. I say, hey, I know you've been in this space for a long time. I'm sure you're aware who's at this conference. Is there maybe 5 people that you would tell me that it would be great for me to go and connect with? And I want to hear, literally, I'll get out my phone and I'll write down the names of who they are and I'll go find them. And guess what? It's a great conversation starter if you're like, hey, I've heard you're a big deal and I definitely need to connect with you while we're at this event. Maybe they're busy and I say, hey, I'd love to go grab lunch. I heard you're someone that I need to connect with while I'm here. Because here's the thing. If you walk up into that conversation to somebody and you have confidence and you make them feel warm and fuzzy because the greatness that you just heard about them, do you think they're going to be more apt to hang out with you and go grab a bite or grab a drink or sit and talk shop with you? Probably. All right. That's
Probably. And that's, like she said, don't underestimate the fact that you just got an icebreaker. right? It's, oh, I was just talking, especially if so-and-so you were just talking to, if they're a mover and shaker in the space. Oh, I was just over there talking with so-and-so who's a big deal. And they said, I had to talk to you. Like we had to meet. All of a sudden they're interested. Oh, why do we have to meet? Why did that person already know? So why did they send her over here?
Wow.
So it's better than just walking up saying, hey, I'm so-and-so, and maybe interrupting the conversation that they had going on or whatever. Because people who are movers and shakers at any conference, whether it's multifamily or an investment conference or whatever, anyone who is anyone is going to have probably a line of 5 or 10 people trying to get to them. And so you have to find a way to, okay, how do I slide in here, become relevant, and steal that attention? And that's a way to do it.
Chad, let's piggyback on that. For those of you that are like, look, I don't have a stack. I haven't done a deal. Listen, you've got to find a way to make yourself stand out. Even if you're someone that's like high energy or someone that smiles a lot or someone that's like, what if you're a complimentive and you literally are like, man, I really like your suit. You really planned that one out. I see your socks match. That's a great conversation starter. If you can be top of mind because you're giving compliments in a non-manipulative way, you're already winning, right? Because most people are so focused on themselves. But if you are somebody that truly takes a moment to recognize somebody's hair, maybe they have some spiked hair and it's a gentleman that you're like, man, I really like that hair. It looks good on you. That's a conversation icebreaker. So you just have to be willing to put yourself out there. Or a girl that's got on a nice dress. Man, I'm loving that dress. You are looking fly in that, or that's looking stunning on you. Don't lie. Be real. Be authentic, because people sniff out when you're being manipulative for a reason. But if you learn to be complimented, guess what? It all comes back to you a millionfold and then some. And truly, don't you want to make someone's day? It makes you feel good and you help other people feel good.
Yeah. And folks, if you're a guy, just make sure when you say compliment someone's dress, make sure it doesn't come off and I'm hitting on you way, because that can happen as well. But you can still compliment a female who looks well-dressed and things of that sort and have the same effect. So just take care on that one, because that one can get you in trouble as well.
For sure. So here's the way that you get around that. If somebody's got a nice dress on and you're like, ooh, that dress is nice, you probably don't want to say it. Man, I love that color of dress on you. That color is smashing.
There you go.
You hit the mark. You look fly. Wow, great job. There's tactful ways to do it. And same thing with men. Man, you really worked on that part on your hair. I can see it's looking pretty slick. You know what I mean? Just be normal and don't make it odd. But there's things that you can find that you can give compliments on. And it truly, when you make somebody feel special and important, they don't forget you, because not very many people do that. So be a rare individual that speaks life into people, and you're life-giving, not life-sucking.
I love that, Erin. And I've got one more kind of how do you do this question before we talk about some tech nerd tips here in the end of how to actually connect with these people at a conference. But I have a couple of ways when I walk into a room of, let's just say that I'm actually at a family office conference, or I'm at somewhere where I know that there is money. I provide investment opportunities. I want to meet those people, right? Because once you build the relationship with people, they're going to see who you are. They're going to want to work with you. And this is how our team works. And I'm sure it's how your team works as well, folks. So when you walk into a room, if you are intentionally looking for those who are investor types and probably have the money to invest, whether they're institutional players or individuals, is there anything that you might be looking for physically, how they carry themselves, to say, okay, I can probably go talk to that person, and that's going to be where the money's at? What are your thoughts on that?
Chad, I swing that back to you. I want to hear what you have to say about this verse.
Absolutely. And I love that one as well. So when I walk into a room, I'm looking for detail, right? And one thing is body language, because rarely do you find someone who's either controlling a lot of money or financially well off who has got poor posture. And that does happen, but rarely does it that they have poor posture. They have this sad look on their face. You're looking for good energy, just like she mentioned in the beginning, but you can also be broke as hell and have good energy, right? That's step one. Step two is I'm looking at how they're dressed. And when I'm looking at how they're dressed, I'm not necessarily saying, okay, he's probably got a Giorgio Armani suit on. Like, we can all look good in a suit, right? Or a dress or whatever it is. I'm looking at their shoes. I'm looking at what's on their fingers. I'm looking at their watch. I'm looking at their glasses. Because all those little accessories, people who have a lot will spend a lot on those little things just because they can and they feel nice, right? Most of the time. This isn't everybody, but you can pick out the difference in a guy who's got a nice black suit on, but if you look at his shoes and his watch, okay, he's wearing a Rolex and he's got on some, I'm trying to think of a top name brand of shoes, but something that you clearly see costs more than $69.95 at Foot Locker. So I'm looking at details from that perspective. Glasses, there are designer style glasses that can cost upwards of $5,000 to $10,000 for a pair of frames. You can identify them if you look close enough, right? You're not talking about brand, but you can just look at craftsmanship of things that they have on. So that's the physical appearance. And then interestingly enough, I find that the true wealth in the room, unless they're known, unless they're broadcasted, they're probably not going to be surrounded by 50 people, because those people like to be low profile. They don't want you to know what they've got, right? Because, oh my gosh, as soon as you have money, any of you can speak from experience, people want things from you all the time. And so look for someone who might be in a small group with those profiles we just talked about, or maybe even, they probably won't be by themselves, but they might be with a mismatched date, right? So I've seen a lot of this where it's like there's let's just say 60 something with a 30 something it could be his daughter, fair, but a lot of times you'll see mismatch in stature. So that can be one as well. But, and I know I'm being shallow, guys. I'm just looking at physical, and you have to go vet it out. You could shoot one of those across the room and be totally wrong, but that's the avatar you're looking for. And then on the flip side of it, I'll cover the other 5%. Look for someone who is maybe not the center of attention. Maybe they're dressed a little bit below the entirety of the room. Almost like, I don't care. I will do what I want when I want. For example, I was at a benefit not long ago here in Nashville, Tennessee. I won't name names, but every name at that place you would know from the radio. Okay. Anyone who, even if you don't listen to country music, you would know these names. And you go to a place like that and everyone's dressed exactly how they want to be. If you see one of those people out in public, they're not going to look like the most slick fly thing you've ever seen, because they don't want to draw attention. It's just the opposite. So then it comes into recognition of the person, but also recognizing he might be wearing a t-shirt where the everyone else is dressed at least in business casual, something like that. So look for mismatch in stature and look for details. And that a lot of times that's how I start the targeting. And then you can go have a conversation from there.
So good.
But follow on. Then don't go make an ass out of yourself and say, hey, I know you have a lot of money. You want to be my friend, right? The next thing you're going to do there is, and there's a great book on this. Who wrote it? A guy named Orrin Claff. I think it's called Flip the Script. But one of the things you have to do very quickly, so you've identified the person you think, you go over to that person. The first thing you have to do, because remember I said 5 seconds, you get 5 seconds and maybe 3 in someone like this's case to figure out, okay, am I going to write this person off as just another groupie, so to speak, or is this person going to be necessary and worthy of my time, right? You have to figure out how to achieve status alignment immediately, right? And so that could look something like this. Let's say that, and maybe you have done some research in this point, that a music professional is going to be at this event, okay? And you can't go up to that person and say, hey, I really loved your album that you released back in 1980 or something like that. Like all of a sudden you just de-elevated yourself from his status down to groupie effectively. So how do you status align? Well, maybe you say something to the effect, because let's say it's a guitar enthusiast. Let's say we're talking about Vince Gill, right? We know the guy owns like 500 guitars. Maybe you do a little research on a guitar and you walk up and say, hey man, just wanted to say, I saw that guitar you were playing on MTV the other day or something like that. And man, I noticed it was a 1957 Paul Reed Smith with this intricacy in it. And how did you get a hold of that guitar? And all of a sudden you just showed him, okay, guitars, which is something he cares about. You know what the details and intricacies that he can appreciate. Now he's got something to talk to you about other than, wow, I really love your music. So what do you think about that?
So good. You are just dropping them right now. All good stuff and things to look out for. I couldn't agree with you more. And you know how he talks about that guitar and the intricacies of it. Literally, the last thing they want to talk about is money and deals. Why? Because the most important thing is relationships. Relationships matter, and they're going to want to go through a little vetting process of you to make sure you're the real deal and you're not somebody there that's has an agenda to literally, hey, give me your money. But you'd be surprised. Most people just want a quick little hit and they want to be able to get that money right away. But that caliber of individual that he just shared, those take some nurturing and it's going to take time. But man, once you get in, the goodness really delivers quite nicely if you play your cards right. So great.
So right. And Erin, I want to round out the episode with a couple of things that I know you and I do when we're actually at the point of exchanging contact information with someone. Okay. So there's the age old way of, hey, let me give you a business card. Hey, let me put my number in your phone. That works. Yeah. Okay. And Erin and I we've experimented with wearable tech where you can like scan a QR code or you can like bop somebody's phone and it'll give you the contact info. What I'm going to tell you is stop it. Just stop it. Okay. All those things, they're going to be great in 10 years when everybody has it, but it's almost like the electric car fad. Until everybody has it, it's cool, but those who don't have it don't understand it. And right now, only half the technology out there can even do it. So what Erin and I have come up with, I'm going to talk about the tech side, and Erin, you talk about the importance of the picture because that was your idea and like how they remember you. But what I have done is everyone pull out your iPhone with me right now. Okay. What you're going to do, I'm just going to give you a tech solution. In your iPhone, go to the settings app, pull down and a search bar will appear. Type the word text, T-E-X-T. Sorry, I just got a call. Let me ignore it. T-E-X-T. And you'll see something with a little gear next to it called text replacement. Click on that. Okay. Then you're going to, at the very top, there's something called text replacement. Click that window and click the add button, the plus in the top right. So what you're going to do, you need to have you a digital business card. So once you have, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but once you have that digital business card, you're going to have a link to it, a link you can give people. And that's, if you had a QR code to scan, that's what it's going to open said link and take you to your thing, right? So the phrase is going to be, it says phrase and shortcut. The phrase, you're going to put that link right there. And shortcut, put something that you can type very easily, like 1, 2, maybe 3, more than one letter, maybe 2 or 3 letters. I use the word LINQ for link. Okay. And that's a brand. It's a type thing that I use. And then once you do that, hit save. Okay. Now I want you to do something really cool. Just go to your text messages, hit compose, open a new text. And first, when you're meeting somebody, don't say, give me your business card. Don't say, bop my thingamaboober and get your scan my thingamaboober. Like, it's just annoying and you have a tech moment. Just say, hey, what's your number real quick? I'm going to text you my info. And then you type in their number real quick. I promise you, this takes a lot less time than scanning someone's QR code, getting that figured out, and then showing them what buttons to push to save it. It's so annoying. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hit the camera button. You're going to come over here. You're going to take a selfie with that person. Oh, look, I meet a lot of people. Now I know who you are. You know who I am. And then guess what you're going to do? You're going to go into the text message compose area and you're going to type, what did we just create? LINQ. And what that's going to do is automatically insert your link to your auto business card right there. You hit send, and guess what you've done? You've now created something in their recent text with a picture of you. You have their phone number, and they now have your digital business card. That is the simplest way that has no friction. You don't have to scan a card in later. None of that happens, okay? And the last thing I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to Erin to talk about why the picture is so important, is, look, if you're trying to stand out, so get you a digital business card. You can use Link. LINQ is what Erin and I use. You can Google any sort of digital business card service. There are so many out there. What they do is they create a basic landing page for you. You can put links to your podcast, your website, your offering, whatever it is that you have. Even just your phone number and email. It can just be a digital contact. That person can save it to their phone. It's got your link in it, and they're already connected with you. All right. That's it. And this whole process takes like literally 7 seconds to do, to exchange contact. And then you guess what? You have in your text chain a list of all the people you wanted to follow up with right there. So when you're sitting at the bar having a drink after the conference, you can knock it out. No computers required, no CRM, no anything like that. So Erin, let me back up because I glossed over the picture. You came up with this idea. Tell me how you came up with that and why it's so important.
So listen, I think a great icebreaker too, when you're speaking with people, is you start to have your conversation. By the time you're done, you got a little bit of laughing going on. It's lightened and you're like, hold on a second, let's take a picture together. And then I pull out my phone, I do a little selfie of us, and then I say, hold up a sec. And then I'm like, wait, what's your number? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to shoot you this picture of us over. I'll shoot that over. And then in addition, I will say, hey, here's my contact information. I'd love to jump on a call in the next coming weeks. That's it. But check this out. I will go home from a conference and maybe I'll have 25 new pictures of people that I really wanted to connect with. And I wait until I'm home from the conference. And a week later, they always say fortune's in the follow-up, but truly think about it. They're at a conference. They're overwhelmed. If you're trying to give them your calendar and trying to plan a Zoom call with them, it's probably not going to happen. But if you give it a week, guess what? Now it's another touch point of truly just a desire to want to connect. Who knows where it's going to take us? But what I'll say is, hey, it was so nice meeting you at the conference. And if I want, I'll say something about them just lightly. Man, that's so cool that you're in Nashville. My partner's there. Listen, I would love to continue the conversation. Let's jump on a Zoom call. You up for it? ? And I wait for them to say yes. It's the honoring thing to do. And if they really care, they're going to respond. And so then I will send them my calendar link. Okay. So check in. So then by the time I get home, I've got 25 new contacts and connections of people that I really would like to jump on a Zoom call. Then I jump on that Zoom call. And from there, we'll have a great call. And sometimes after my call, I'll actually follow up with that video message to them. And I'll share with them. I reiterate what it is that they're looking for, why I enjoyed the phone call, and something special and important about them, right? And when I do that, I get message after message that's, holy smokes, great way to respond. Love your energy. I can't believe you remembered that. I look forward to our next call. So do you understand? It's not drip. You just want to continue the conversation and be able to connect with great people. So that is number one. I will tell you this though. I just was at a recent conference that had nothing to do with multifamily. And when I would meet great people, guess what I would do? I would take a picture and I'd say, hey, I'm going to send this picture to you. I love this one. This is great. I'll send them the picture and then I will send them not my calendar link. It's my actual link that's got literally a picture of me, I don't know, on a desk being in a professional outfit. And when they click on that thing, guess what it's going to do? It's going to show them what it is that I do about our company. They can book an appointment. They can hear the podcast I'm on, all the different things from this one link. So guess what? I never said, go click that and go learn about me. I just said, hey, I'm going to send you my contact information. When I send that to them, guess what happened at this conference? I cannot even tell you the number of people that came back to me and started to drum up conversation because they clearly clicked on the link, dug in, learned about what it is that I do and so on and so forth. And they wanted to know more. And they wanted to get on a call with me, or they wanted me to be on their podcast, do you understand what I'm saying?
Their idea at that point.
Yes, it made it their idea. And so I walked away from that conference with so many incredible connections. And you can do the same too. You just got to be front of mind, do something different, take initiative, not be afraid, speak up, be fun, be confident. Do you understand? All the things that Chad and I are sharing with you make you that much more attractive for people to want to get on another call and continue the conversation to goodness that's going on in your life and theirs.
I love that. And the final two things that I'll insert in there, like when she mentioned the taking a picture with somebody, like you, at this point, let's just say you're talking with someone who you're trying to achieve status alignment with. You're not they are clearly superior to you in some way, right? And they may not be ready to give you that business card, or like these high profile people, they're not just going to hand you a card and say, call me, unless they want you to, unless they really want you to call them. Okay. So sometimes you have to get that contact in the limited amount of time you have before they're ready. And then everything she just went through, go back and listen to it again, because that's watering the relationship and following up. But first you have to get the digits, and to get the digits, I can tell you, I think you and I both have done this so many hundreds of times, and we learned it. Where did we learn this? We took a video there was a wedding that was clearly a very affluent wedding. We weren't part of that, nothing. And they asked Erin to take a picture. Erin takes a picture for these people on her phone. She does it on her phone. And they go, oh, here, let me text it to you. Got the guy's number, hadn't had a single conversation. She was just a nice lady that took the picture. And so that's a little more of an advanced tactic, because then you got to build a relationship for nothing. But think about that. If you're talking to a CEO or someone who's clearly above your status, they're not ready to give you their personal number. If you say, hey, let me send you this picture I just took of us, I've never had anyone say, no, I don't give out my number.
It's so true. Hold on. Let me go there really quick. So I'm at this event a couple of weeks ago, and there were probably 5 big speakers that took the stage, that literally they came off the stage, and I would walk over to the side where they were. And I was like, you just killed it. Way to drop those nuggets. Holy smokes, you over delivered. Truly speaking from my heart. And I said, I'd love a picture with you. So I would either take my phone and get a selfie, or I'd have somebody that was standing right there be like, man, can you grab this photo real quick? I would get the photo with them and you would never believe it. I was like, hey, let me get your number. I'm going to send you this photo. I can hardly wait to connect with you. If they say no to me, who gives a rip? We just got to try. And if they give it to me, guess what it's going to do? It's going to increase my confidence because I just got the players' contact information. And so now it's about how can I go add value to these people? Truly, I don't want anything. How can I add value? I loved your message. I want other people to hear you. What is it that I can do for you?
And truly, even if they're annoyed, folks, like in the moment, the easiest way for them to get you to go away is to give the number so you can send it. They're going to cause more pain and more angst if they say no. So even if they're annoyed, they're just going to give you the damn number. You know?
It's so true. And then Chad, I've got one more nugget for you before we go. Okay, so check this out. When we go to events, Chad and I love to go together. Why? Because we play off each other so beautifully. I love to be around my partner. He's a good time. There's just some great yin and yang that goes with us when we go to different conferences. What do I mean by that? Number one, if you don't know Chad, he is the most brilliant soul that you truly could lock him in a closet. He's a numbers guy that can create spreadsheets, and he's just got this brilliant aeronautical mind in him. Okay. But he also has a great social side to him. And for those of you that know me or don't know me, I'm just like a little bit loud. I'm a little bit bold. I'm high on life, and I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. But what if I have my partner who's super brilliant can go have this conversation about engineer stuff? And what if I meet somebody that's at an event and I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy's a little bit more introverted and he's super brilliant. Holy smokes, him and Chad could talk up a storm. Then it gives me a chance to do this. Chad, I see you, right? Hear me for a moment what I'm doing. Chad, maybe he's 20 feet away. And Chad's what? I'm like, I'm here. Number one, everybody that's around us is like, what's going on? Why is this girl so excited? And so they're watching all of this unfold. And I'm like, come here, I got someone I want to introduce you to. So he comes over. Then I introduce. Nobody liked the guy. But now I'm like, hold on a second. We're going to really smother this on, because once I introduce him to Chad and Chad speaks his language, the party's on. So are you understanding what I'm saying? And vice versa. If Chad meets somebody that speaks more of my language, what does he do? He's just like straight up, Erin, come here. I got to introduce you to someone. Either he'll come and take me away from who I'm talking to at the right moment, and he'll take me over to go meet that person. So do you understand, if you go to these conferences with a friend or somebody where you guys can play off each other, it is so much more fun. And then at the end of the night, what do we get to do? We'll go have a cocktail and we'll debrief about the excitement of the night and who spoke to us and who we really want to reconnect with, and so on and so forth. Really try it on for size. You'll be shocked about the goodness and the fruit that comes from it.
It's a lot better to do that, folks, because look, there's nothing harder than when you start off in a room and you don't nobody there, getting the courage to break the ice and bust into the first group. Because like people notice if you're standing there by yourself for too long. So it's like you always have a wingman, so to speak, or a wingwoman. And I love what you're saying there. And folks, if you can take your whole team to a conference, if you have a team, anyone who's a face of your team, it's so powerful when you can take everyone there. Oh, I had one thing I wanted to tack on, and then I think we probably have hit this one pretty hard, Erin. Going back to when we were gathering information, right? The biggest thing, and Erin's mentioned this numerous times, if you can remember something that y'all talked about, especially if it was something that was important to them, maybe they love philanthropy, maybe they just got back from Tahiti with their spouse and it was amazing and they couldn't quit talking about it. Whatever it is, if you can remember one or two things, especially if you can remember spouse and kids' names, right? That's pretty crazy if they talk about them. But you all have a great little CRM in your hand. It's called a phone, okay? And when you save that contact, and let's say you get their number, create a contact that has their first and last name, every phone known to man has a little notes section. And all you have to do is just open that contact, go down there and type a few little tidbits about your conversation. That's all. It doesn't have to be a fancy CRM. Just that way, when I go to follow up with them, I can quickly hit info on their contact. I can say, okay, they just got done back from Tahiti. They were celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary. They were super excited, and they had this plan that they were going to go do. And man, if you can be like, yeah, when you follow up, hey, I hope the thing y'all were going to go do went really well. They know you listened. They know you care. And it's not just, hey, I want to talk to you for business or something like that. So I think that's the last one I've got in my head, Erin.
I love it. You see the difference? So he does that in his little CRM, not me. You know what I do? I go and save them in my contacts and I put a little under their name. I'll put something about them that makes me remember. Something that's just quick.
Same difference. Yeah.
Anyways, It's good stuff, guys. I hope you got some of the nuggets and you put them into play and you find Chad and I and you circle back around and you say, hey, listen, I tried that. It worked brilliantly. I had success. Thank you for the nugget. And be sure to share this with someone else who needs to hear what we shared today.
Yes, folks, pay it forward. The only way to get this episode in front of more people like you is for you to share it, for you to leave things in the comments. And look, if you get a nugget out of this that you use and it worked well, write us a comment about it. I'd love to hear about it. We read those and we want to know that this episode, which was requested, by the way, is valuable for you. So Erin, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing all the nuggets. This is truly an art and you can all learn it too.
All right. See you guys. Have a good one. Love you all. Bye now.
Well, folks, I hope you found that informative. I hope you got some tips and tricks that you can use the next time you're in a room and needing to network or meet people, things of that sort. We do this all the time. It's a lot of fun. And honestly, just be yourself. Just use some of these technology hacks, use some of these relational hacks, and you'll do just fine. So, folks, loved being here with you today. This has been another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast, Quattro Roundtable Edition. Again, pay it forward. Leave us that review, thoughtful comment. Share the show. It's the only way to pay it forward and get this to someone like you. So without further ado, we'll close the show here. This has been another episode of the Real Estate Runway Podcast. Until next time, over and out, folks.
We hope this episode was insightful and brought value to your day. If so, please be awesome and leave us a 5-star review. Find out how Team Quattro can help you at thequattroway.com. Until next time, this is the Real Estate Runway Podcast.